Hey, everybody. The purpose of this Zoom is to show you how you break down the results of the decision for a different company. So I've recorded one for company I, which is running a cost leadership strategy. And this is going to be the breakdown for company J, which is the intended strategy for company J was differentiation. No big secret there. I told you that as I was recording the decisions, showed you what that was going to be, showed you what it looked like. So we have to now ask ourselves, since we know our intended strategy was differentiation, did we achieve our desired outcome? The answer to that is going to be no. If you look at company J, we had a 5-star camera and a 5-star drone, and we got out differentiated. Company C made a 5.4-star product, and company E made a 5.5-star product. So we got out differentiated by two competitors. Now, part of being a differentiated provider also means that you're going to get a premium price for your product. So as I look at this, I just want to make the point that even though company E had the most distinctive or different product at 5.5 stars, they did not charge a premium price for their product in North America, Europe, Africa, Asia, or Latin America, which is why they're not the differentiated provider. In this case, company C would be the differentiated provider. Looking at the drone, similar situation. Company C with a 5.4-star drone was the differentiated provider. They also had the highest or the premium price in the industry at $1,851 in Latin America, $1,651 in North America. Did I read that right? $1,851 Latin America, $1,651 North America, $1,681 Europe, Africa, and $1,851 in Asia. So they had the highest priced product or the premium priced product, and they are the differentiated provider. So we have a clear situation in which my stated strategy or my intended strategy was to be the differentiated provider, and I clearly was not the differentiated provider. So having said that, we asked the question, how was my outcome? Company J actually finished in first place, which is a pretty darn good outcome considering you didn't achieve your desired strategy. So the question becomes, okay, if I didn't achieve my intended strategy, what did I achieve? What was my strategy? So to get a little bit deeper into that, we need to take a look at the industry overview. Okay, so for the industry, the blue line will show us our price. In year 5, the average price for the camera was $225. In year 6, it was $251. And in year 5, the average price for the drone was $1,075. And in year 6, it was $1,268. So we had a very high increase in the price. And we had an increase in the number of features and in the PQ rating for both of the products. Okay. So we had a very clear increase in price. How did the industry do as a whole? On the camera, our sales were 2.1% higher than had been forecasted, and they were up by 9.3% from year 5. So the action camera market actually was pretty satisfied despite the $26 price increase. They were pretty satisfied with the 4.6 star rating. So this relationship for them was pretty good. And if you actually do the math on that, the value was a little bit better in year 6 than it had been in year 5. Looking at the drone, sales were 5.4% lower than forecast. They were still up 13.6%, but they had been forecast to go up by 18%, and they did not do it. So the industry as a whole was pretty dissatisfied with the relationship between price and performance quality. Okay, so you got an issue there. So how did I achieve such great outcome? If you take a look at the action capture camera benchmarks for company J, my costs were only slightly above average. Taking a look at that, my cost was $165.45. The average was $161.18. And for company J, I had the best margins in North America, the best margins in Europe, Africa, the best margins in Asia Pacific, and the best margins in Latin America. So I had great margins on my camera. On the drone, my costs were about almost, well, they were $127, $28 above average in the industry. And my margins in North America were the best. In Europe, Africa, they were above average. In Latin America, or excuse me, Asia Pacific, they were above average. And then in Latin America, they were also above average. Okay. Just slightly above average. So I had decent margins. I didn't really have the best margins in the industry on the drone, but I did have decent margins. So I want to take a look at the assembly and facility operations. So in my camera facility, I had 300 workstations installed, and I used 281 of those. In my drone facility, I had 110 workstations installed, and I used 100 of those. Okay. So all that being said, I didn't achieve my intended strategy. So what was my actual strategy? And what we would say for my actual strategy is that it is integrated cost leadership, or excuse me, integrated differentiation. The reason that we'll call that integrated differentiation is our product was above the mean. We had a 5.0 star product. The industry average was 4.6. We're above the mean. On the drone, we had a 5-star product. The industry average was 4.4 star. So we had an integrated differentiation strategy. Having assessed the results, the question now becomes, what do I do with this? Right? I did not achieve my desired strategy, but I still had a pretty darn good outcome. In fact, if you'll look, my earnings per share, my return on equity, and my stock price were all best in the industry. My credit rating was tied for the best in the industry. My image rating was well above the investors' expectations. I didn't get any bonus points because I missed my earnings per share projection pretty badly, but I was pretty close on my revenue projection. Okay. So, in light of all of this information, the question that you should be asking yourself is, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? What kind of decisions do I make? What kind of resources do I have? What kind of money did I put into research and development? Is my research and development investment, is that consistent with running a differentiation strategy? I've got above average in drones and I've got below average in cameras. Can I fix that? Do I want to double down and do I want to continue with my intended differentiation strategy, or do I want to try something differently? Taking a look at things, company E is over differentiated at 5.5 stars. I mean, they're differentiated, but they're way underpriced. On the drone, they're running an inconsistent strategy. Company C is pretty clearly making a statement that they want to be the differentiated provider. So again, what do I do with that? Right? Not trying to beat a dead horse, but once the decisions come out, you ask yourself, what was my intended strategy? Did I achieve it? If I didn't achieve it, what was my actual strategy? And then given this information and given the resources that the company possesses, where do I go from here? Thanks so much for watching.